Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Anna. This is Astral Lady Tarot, and I don't know why I'm introducing myself now. Maybe for the new people here, welcome. I just feel like talking to you today, okay? I have a lot of small topics in mind that I thought would be interesting for a tarot channel. And I'm drinking coffee because I felt like it. I suggest you make yourself a nice drink as well and get comfortable, and we're just going to chat a little bit, and feel free to comment your thoughts. Let's start with one of the more interesting topics, in my opinion, or the more, I don't want to say interesting, like the rest isn't interesting, but more like something that keeps us on our toes as tarot readers. I'm a professional tarot reader. It's part of my job, part of my income by now. But the thing is, it's still a hobby, you know? I still love it. I'm passionate about it. I like playing with tarot decks. I don't really have that many. I'm not a collector, I'd say. I like to really use my decks, even though some decks really come around just once a year. I think that's okay if I enjoy working with them and they have a purpose. I want them to have a purpose. Then they stay in my collection. That's, by the way, one main thing that I got out of Tarot Throwback that I did this summer. It wasn't just that I missed my favorite deck, the Trionfi della Luna. It's that I realized that even though I like, again, to use my decks, I have a small collection, you know, I love to play with tarot. So just one or two decks or four decks in a lifetime or in a few months could potentially be satisfying, but it wasn't that satisfying. I was doing something very specific, right? I was going back in time, kind of thing. I was really kind of reliving a part of the childhood thing. It was great. It was an adventure. And I went all in my opinion. But when I came out of it, I was so ready to get back into, you know, like, okay, I had a Toth, but not a greenie. It's just prettier in my opinion. I was so happy to find one of my newest decks, the Ritual Tarot. Crow's Magic Tarot was there, but Trionfi della Luna wasn't. Things like Halloween Tarot, which I'll definitely be using in the darker months. Those types of decks, and even the Druidcraft. Who would have thought? Druidcraft is not even my favorite deck, but or one of my favorite decks, but I missed it. The thing is also, there was a big shift, right? The school year started, so I'm a dance teacher. I follow the school schedule, so big shift there, and even bigger one because I changed something about the way I teach or where I teach. Also just the weather, right? I mean, we had some hot days, warm, sunny days left, but for sure we were all getting soaking wet from the rain because one minute it's very sunny and dry and the next it's just pouring rain, and when you're not prepared, soaking wet every single time you go out, you go outside. So that's Holland for you. Just to say, autumn definitely started. All right. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I got into the cozy vibes so quickly. I've been binge watching Jonathan Creek, which I adore. I started watching that as a teenager, I'm sure, with my mom. We saw the first episode on TV on the BBC, and I don't know, mind blown. And it was just so entertaining. Love it. Love it. And I still have not all episodes, regrettably, but most episodes on a hard disk. So every so often I watch some of them, and even though I know most of them by heart, it's just so good. It's so good. So the juicy topic, because I haven't even gotten into it. I was talking to a tarot client, a Patreon Rush the Stage tier. You know who you are. We always talk about tarot decks and we really get into things, and it's just a great conversation every time. They said, look, I know you love your Trionfi della Luna Paradoxical, right? The Marseille version by Patrick Valenza. Yes, it's my favorite deck. It's what I call my favorite deck. It's my evil twin. It's dark, it's witty, it glows under black light. It's freaking amazing. I love the Marseille type style, but Patrick Valenza really put his own spin on it. I love the court cards, which are pretty much nothing like traditional Marseille, but these are the pips that I look at, you know. So I love the fact that it's so abstract, yet there's a lot more to go on than regular traditional Marseille, which I also love, but this would be still, I know, like the purists in the Marseille, you know, tarot world would say this is not a Marseille. And maybe it isn't, okay? It's inspired by Marseille, but I would choose this anytime over regular Marseille. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, it's just the way it is. Okay? It's just the way it is. I prefer this pukey face over whatever angels holding a crest are there, depending on the system, by the way. So, that's my favorite deck. Yet, he said, that's your favorite deck, you rave about that deck, you know, fine. But I consider, he said, the Crow's Magic Tarot to be your soul deck. So you can say all you want that the Trionfi is your favorite deck, but the Crow's Magic Tarot is your soul deck, okay? And he even said that if I would ever lose my Crow's Magic Tarot copy, because I only have one and it's out of print, you know how it is, he would actually send me his copy. Now, look, that's just amazing. Let's just I don't know if I could, you know, accept that. But I don't know if I would take that on, but just hearing that, that's just lovely, isn't it? Very, very generous and hilarious person, by the way. And I'm honored to be, you know, his tarot reader. I'm like, all right, fine, maybe. Maybe the Crow's Magic Tarot is just weird enough and completely doing its own thing, just away from any tarot system. Although it takes from Rider-Waite-Smith, from Toth, from Marseille, I'm sure, maybe other systems that I'm less familiar with. It does its own thing and it's completely weird, but it's true. Like, there's a connection that I can't explain, which is probably why he's right. Might be my soul deck. I mean, why do I understand this image at a feeling level, you know, at a very intuitive level, that to be the magician, right? Like, there's no, as far as I know, esoteric symbolism in there, which I still love, by the way. I love esoteric decks. That's why I love the Toth. I love the Rider-Waite-Smith. Marseille, so esoteric, actually. Can be, right? It's what you make of it, too. But why does this Page of Cups speak to me? It can be meaningless. It can be found meaningless for many other tarot readers. And I mean, I'm not criticizing. That's just a fact, and it's true, and it's okay. Why does this Two of Swords scream Two of Swords to me when I just get the meaning? The keywords make no sense most of the time. Symmetry, poise. Yet I get something out of symmetry. Like, trying to do that balancing act, right? And symmetry, it's something that we like to see in the mind and the brain. It's what our eyes are attracted towards, at least mine are. I still love symmetric art. I love symmetric tarot cards. So symmetry, you're trying to look for symmetry to make it right, to make some situation perfect or fit you more. And then poise, it's about giving and receiving. Like, what exactly are you adding to the situation? Because we are talking about solving a problem in the Two of Swords, usually. Are you going to do that with aggression? Are you going to do that with emotion? I don't know. Are you going to do that with poise, perhaps? because that would be, in my opinion, the more graceful way of approaching any problematic situation or potentially problematic situation. So why do I understand this deck? This might sound like, what are you talking about? Two of Swords means this. Well, Two of Swords is one of those cards that changed meaning over time, right? Toth readers read the Two of Swords very differently than Rider-Waite-Smith readers, from what I've gathered. Once I started getting into Toth, the Two of Swords, Rider-Waite-Smith, the woman blindfolded with the two swords in her hands, sitting in front of water, and then there's a moon, right? It started making, or it made a lot more sense with the Two of Swords from the Toth, with two swords crossed and then this flower in the middle, which is called Lord of Peace in the Crowley deck, at least. This is very much about, are you going to attack or are you going to retreat? And as I said in this other video, the solution would be the secret option number 3, which is you don't do anything, because no party would win in this situation. So you're trying to keep the best for everyone, basically, or keep the peace, right? Lord of Peace. Peace restored. Although apparently the 2 in the sequence is too early for something to be restored. So that's why they changed it to peace. Simply peace. Anyway, so you see, this is so chaotic, but I kind of like just talking. So a lot comes up. But yeah, I mean, maybe they're right. You see how my tarot practice works, how I read. It's intuitive, but also there's a lot of book information that I use because I recognize it in the cards. There's no way I'm going to remember something about a card that I read in a book that I didn't recognize in the card. You know what I mean? I have to see just the whirling forces, right, of the Wheel of Fortune. I can't just accept some meaning from a book without seeing it in the artwork. But once I see it in the artwork, it clicks and I use it. I tend to use that in my readings. So it's a mix, of course, of intuition and book knowledge. But the Crow's Magic Tarot, again, that's just one of those decks that is so intuitive. And I mean, it's just so ugly. I adore it. I love it. And there was this inexplicable pull when I saw this deck for the first time. I was like, oh wow, I have to work with this deck. I have to work with this imagery. And why do I understand this deck? You know, sometimes it makes me work a little harder to get to the meaning of the card. But most of the time, to be honest, the readings just flow. And it's that type of inner knowledge, right? That gnosis that you can't explain or can't really put your finger on, that comes up with this deck. So maybe you're right. Maybe Crow's Magic Tarot is my soul deck because I understand it on this deeper, or I don't know, more universal level somehow. And Trionfi della Luna is my favorite deck. And it's because I love it and I see myself in it, yes. But also, I studied Marseille, you know? It's the deck I learned this system on with. I learned the pips, I learned the way they were organized and what that means. So that's the main thing that the Tarot de Marseille added to my practice. The whole numerology and understanding the pips and the vines, etc. within the cards. So I don't know, I guess that's the difference. What do you think is my deck? There are some decks on my channel that basically have the main role by now. Is it Crow's Magic Tarot? Is it Trionfi della Luna? Maybe it's still another deck. I don't know. But you can be sure, both of those are top 5. They are here to stay. They are staples. I wasn't wrong about that. So that's good. That's a good thing. There are some details about cards I pull that basically come through in a way of a different view on the card, a different, slightly different meaning that I write down in my tarot journal that I often think in the moment, oh, I want to share that on TarotTube, right? Because that might be interesting. It might start a conversation, and then people can give their own opinion and view on the situation. So I finally got one here because I usually forget about it, and then other things, other topics come up. But I mean, doing it now. It's about the Eight of Wands in the Crow's Magic. We see a crocodile or alligator. Eight of Wands is exceed and surpass. And we see basically an alligator coming towards us. And it looks, the eight wands there, they are planted into the soil, right? Into the earth. Like, to be fair, most wand cards in this deck. Yet they are placed in like a half circle, so it's almost a cage that this beast is crawling out of, is bursting out of. I realized that the main thing here, it's about finding a purpose. Okay, so let me dissect that thought. Basically what I wrote down is giving your passion a clear direction, a clear point, a clear focus to go towards. So yeah, a direction. Giving your passion, right? Wands, fire, action, motivation, passion, because it's a cage made out of wands that are planted firmly into the soil, and this crocodile, alligator, I don't know, is coming out of it. So it's like a burst of energy. In the Rider-Waite-Smith, oh, I don't actually have a Rider-Waite at hand, but I can use the Ritual Tarot. Here we go. Eight wands, eight spears, in my opinion. I think I got that from the Druidcraft, actually, because there we see someone throwing a spear in the eight of wands. So makes sense also, right? These actually are spears, I'm pretty sure. Giving your passion a clear direction. Look, it's not like I never had this thought before, but now I finally wrote it down. And it's not, I don't believe many tarot books or whatever regular meanings include this side of what this card means. Because of course cards, 360 degrees, right? They are a spectrum of meanings, and how you read them in context, in light, in shadow, or in advice, or in affirmation, or whatever, in different types of readings. This is always like swiftness. To be honest, that meaning, that keyword, or that title never really helps me. I have to go beyond. Like, it can't just mean, oh, it's going really fast, it's happening really fast. It's not enough for me. No. And why is it going really fast? Because I like to complicate things, and an 8 in the old school numerology is a very stable number. It's about hyperstability. It's not just hard, right? In the tree of life, in the Kabbalistic tree of life. Let's bring in this other system that I have right here, which is the Toth, where we actually see swiftness written on the card. Here we see these other ones, right? And they're all going outwards. It's like an eruption, an explosion. And you can see it's multifaceted, and it actually becomes almost a wheel. So why is this such a long story? All I'm trying to say is it's not just swiftness. It's not just exceed or surpass. It's not just creating boundaries or initiating this energy outwards. It's really to find that purpose, to have a clear goal for your passion. Does everybody read this card in this way? I don't know. I don't know. Just Eight of Wands can be a bit of a weird one. It was for me because I started with the Rider-Waite Smith, and as you know, probably, Eight of Wands and Three of Swords are the only two cards with no human figures on them, so they are a bit more abstract. I don't know, I kind of like it. This is what the Six of Wands looks like, one of my favorite cards in the Crow's Magic Tarot. This is, you know, Lord of Victory. So I love those human with animal head. This is like a door opening, right? You can see I've made it. It's a winner, almost coming down the steps in a wonderful heroic manner. Then the Seven of Wands, we get a raccoon actually here. Kind of funny. Seven of Wands is always very strong, and you have to, you know, rely on yourself. You have to be able to defend yourself. It's connected to the Emperor for me personally, because those two, I don't know, have a similar energy that or power that I used to lack, and now, you know, really have to work hard to express, and I want to express it. And we need this energy in our lives, right? Here in this deck, funnily enough, it became a boundary. You see how the seven wands are all aligned? This is where I stand, and you can't go past that, or this is what I am, and so deal with it. And then with the eight, it's an enclosure, yet you are breaking out of it. So that's kind of what triggered this thought, which I don't know, might be confusing in the video. Let me know. I tried. Yeah, and you know what? I actually have a lot to say about the ritual tarot, some thoughts I had about the cards when I was pulling them. Oh, it's great. Okay, take this advice from me. Read tarot in bed right before you go to sleep. It's the best. That's where I feel my mind is kind of relaxing after a day of just triggers. Even, you know, positive days. It's just, it takes a while for your body and your mind to just calm down and unwind. And I feel it works great to do that with the tarot, obviously, and especially the ritual tarot deck. As I said in my review and already my unboxing, it's just warm earth. It's a deck that really is grounding and evocative still at the same time, right? So you have something to work with. I pulled the six of coins. Just look at how beautiful this is. And I think this was an easy, I'm not sure. It looks like it's just the background with the door and the people, and then there's a hand, and then the six coins. Just those three elements put together. But you get a beautiful image, and yeah, just a lot comes up with this collage deck. I'm not saying you have to use this deck. You can use any deck, but I'm just saying tarot before bed and then in bed, just for yourself, it works really well. And I was going to share some more things about it, but I guess that will be the next video because I think this video is already long enough. Yeah, okay. I want to play the game. Let's say point, like a spear point, or what's the point? If you want to criticize this video, you can say, what's the point of this video? I thank you beforehand in advance for your thumbs down. That really helps the channel. Also, your thumbs up helps, so, you know, both is fine. But most of all, comment. Let me know what you think of all of this stuff, and then more stuff coming up next week. But if you want, play the game in your comment, add in the word point. Try to mix that in with your comment. And if you have nothing to comment, which is also possible after this chaotic ramble, then if you've made it this far, still comment point. That would be just great. That would make my day. That would make my weekend. Let's just put this in there. I know a lot of you are watching my videos but aren't subscribed. Do me a favor, subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. I tend to stick to once a week, but sometimes there's a live that sneaks in there or something fun on someone else's channel or with someone else, like an interview kind of thing. So yeah, that way you can stay tuned. This was my ramble for today, and I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.